Okay, welcome to my next session on this matter. We are going to discuss about describing and measuring matter in this session. Even we will see the properties of matter also, and we will find the differences between chemical property and physical property also in this session. As you see in the photograph, the beginning of this discussion, what is most striking feature of our planet? Okay, what is visible from space, giving Earth a vivid blue color. You can observe water above, below and Earth's surface. Water is component of every living thing, from the smallest bacterium to the largest mammal and the oldest tree. That is water. So you drink it, cook with it, wash with it, stake on it and swim in it. That is its utilization. Legends and stories involving water have been a part of every culture in human history. No other kind of matter is essential as to life as water. So, as refreshing, it may be water straight from the tap seems rather ordinary. Try, you can describe a glass of water to someone who has never seen or experienced water before. Be as detailed as possible and see how well you can distinguish water from other kinds of matter, so that you can do it. And not only that one, in addition to water, there are millions of different kinds of matter in the universe. The dust speaks suspended in the air. The air itself, your chair, this book, your book and your pen, your classmates, your teacher, and all these are examples of matter. In the language of science, matter is anything that has mass and volume. So what is matter? Matter is anything that has mass and volume. That means it takes up some space. That is. And the rest of this discussion, we will examine some key concepts related to matter in this way. And you have encountered these concepts in the previous studies. Before you continue complete checkpoint activity, so you can also recall how we will you recall it as you proceed through each chapter, assess and modify your answers. So what is the checkpoint? Is nothing but from memory explain. Define each of the following concepts like states of matter, properties of matter, physical properties, chemical properties, physical change, chemical change, mixture, pure substance, element, compound, all these are to be studied. So use of all these points are important. Now today we are going to discuss about describing about the matter. That is, you must observe matter carefully, everything carefully in a well manner. When describing water, for example, you may have used statements like water is a liquid, water is a liquid, and it has no smell. Water is clear and colorless. It changes to ice when it freezes. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius. Sugar dissolves in water. Oil floats in water. So characteristics that help you to describe and identify a matter is called as property. So what are the characteristics are there that will help to describe the matter, which are all called as properties. Properties of matter. Now some properties include physical properties like color, order, some texture, boiling temperature, densities, flammabilities, combustibilities. Now all you can see here, some are qualitative are there, some are quantitative are there. So what are qualitative? Physical state, color, crystal shape, malleability, ductility, hardness, brittleness. These are some examples I have listed out. And I have listed some quantitative properties also of matter: melting point, boiling point, density, solubility, electrical conductivity, thermal conductivity. Now, whereas if you experience the most of these properties during chemistry courses, chemical properties can often be like this. Reactivity of water, reactivity of the matter with air, reactivity of the matter with the pure oxygen, and reactivity with acids, reactivity with the pure substances, combustibility or flammability, toxicity, decomposition. See, in this tabular column, whatever you observed, these properties are physical properties or chemical properties are also there. What is physical property? What is the quantitative physical properties? Qualitative. Physical property is nothing but property that you can observe without changing one kind of matter into something new. So that is a physical property. What is physical property? Property that you can observe without changing one kind of matter into something new. For example, if you take iron, suppose if you take iron, Fe, iron is a strong metal with a shiny surface. It is solid at room temperature, but it can be heated and formed into different shapes, and these properties can all be observed without changing iron into something new. So that we will call it as the physical properties of the substances. Let us move on to what is chemical property. Chemical property that you can observe when one kind of matter is converted into a different kind of matter. That means there is a change in the kind of matter. That means physical state also may take place. That is chemical property. For example, if you take a chemical property of iron that reacts with oxygen, suppose iron reacts with oxygen, iron forms its oxide, iron oxide. Then what is happening in this discussion is nothing but the chemical property of iron is nothing but reacts with oxygen to form a different kind of matter. This is one different kind of matter. Fu is different, oxide, Fe is different. That means completely a new thing is coming. Suppose if you write it as Fe2O3, you can call it as rust. So rust and iron have completely different physical properties and chemical properties. Means it shows another example of chemical property. We have different examples of chemical properties also are there in this discussion. Suppose if you take glucose, test paper changes color in presence of glucose. So glucose, if you take C6H12O6, it changes into another color in the presence of a test paper. So this is glucose colorless, but this is colored. It's colored. What is the reason behind that? One is a chemical properties of glucose test paper is that it changes color in response to glucose. So this one of the test paper will call that is converted into different color of glucose. So chemical property of glucose can be understand like that. That means we have different kinds of numerous examples are there in this one. Recall some of the properties we have matter is there, that has color, flammability, which let's discuss. They comes under qualitative. You can also describe them in words, but you cannot measure them. So what are qualitative? Properties you can describe, but you cannot measure. That are qualitative. And likewise, you can describe the other properties like density is there, boiling point is there, melting point is there. That can be measured and expressed numerically. Such properties we will call quantitative properties. So in investigation, what happened? We will use both the qualitative and quantitative properties to examine familiar items. Okay. For example, if you take an example like people with diabetes. Diabetes will rely on chemical property to help them monitor the amount of glucose. That means a simple sugar present in the body in the blood. So that is a simple example to understand what is the measure, what is the qualitative and quantitative relationship. And moving on to using measurements to describe matter. The next thing is using measurements to describe matter. So this is measurement of matter. A simple thing. You know, in this investigation, you measured a size, mass of piece of aluminum. Suppose if you take an experiment, you have probably performed type of measurements many times. Measurements are so much a part of your daily life. You can easily take them for granted. The clothes you wear come in different sizes. Much of the food you eat is sold in grams, kilograms, milliliters or liters. This is also measurement. When you follow a recipe, you measure amounts. The dimensions of paper and coins are made to exact specifications. So, the measurement of matter is most important, and clothing size, amounts of food, currency are not standard. However, clothing sizes in Europe are different from that of North America. European chefs tends to measure liquids and powdered solids by mass rather than volumes. But currencies, of course, differ widely from country to country. To communicate effectively, scientists rely on standard system of measurements. As you learned in previous studies, this system is called International System Units. International System Units we will call SI. Lee System International Unities, that is SI units. It allows scientists anywhere in the world to describe matter in the same quantitative language. There are 7 bases of SI units, many more units that were derived from them. In that we have one small m symbol is, that is meter. If you write the symbol kg, that is kilogram. If you write the symbol seconds. These are the base SI units. We learn more about 2 or more base units, that is MOL, mole, MOL, mole, Kelvin, K, capital K. Later in this discussion, our discussion. For example, when you describe matter, you use terms such as mass, volume, mass, volume, mass is there, volume is there, and temperature, particularly this Kelvin, whatever we are writing, that is comes under this discussion of temperature. These are main things. When you measure matter, you use units such as grams, cubic centimeters, etc. and degrees Celsius also. So you can use grams, okay, degrees, centimeters, like that, cubic centimeters, cubic centimeters, etc. So some of the list also I will give it to you. For example, mass is there. What is the meaning of mass? What is the meaning of mass? We will see, and their features. Let us see what do you mean by mass. As you know, mass is the amount of matter in the object. Mass is the amount of matter in the object. That is the definition of mass. Kilograms, grams, milligrams are the actual units, and other derived units we have. Equivalent used to measure the quantities equipment used to measure this one, we will call it as balance. So with balance, we will use this one. We will measure this one. What about length? We have length is there. So mass is 1 unit. What is length? The distance between the 2 points is called as length. The distance between 2 points is called as length. Usually that with the help of an equipment that is called as roller used to find this one. This will be in meters and centimeters and millimeters, different kinds of terminology we can use to measure this one. These are the units. What about the temperature case? Temperature. For example, if anybody asks you to define this is hotness or coldness of a substance, simply you can call the hotness or coldness. Hotness or coldness of the body. Okay, yeah, everybody knows what is the equipment, that is thermometer. So thermometer is the equipment used to measure this one. And we have one more thing is there. What is the properties? Volume, physical property, volume. So it is the amount of space that an object occupies. This is the amount of space that an object occupies. That is called as volume. To measure this one, different kinds of equipments are there. Beaker is there, graduated cylinders are there, we have pipette is there in chemistry. You can calculate using that one. So you can take a simple way you can measure, that is beaker. Accurately you want means there are equipments called as graduated cylinders, pipettes, etc. Pipettes are there like this. And these are the main general common physical properties. But coming to a most important property in our chemistry, that is called as mole. So most important property that I can call it as mole. What is the mole? Mole is the amount of substance. The definition is nothing but mole is also called as amount of substance. This can be calculated and measured. So we can calculate this one and measure this one. And coming to another one, that is density. As you know, it is a common physical property, mass per unit of volume of a substance. Mass per unit volume of a substance. That is called as density. So what is the meaning of density? Mass by volume. Mass per unit volume of substance. Kilogram per meter cube. Units can be kilogram per meter cube or gram per centimeter cube. Gram per centimeter cube. We can use this one as gram per centimeter cube. And last but not least, what is the energy case? What is energy property? As of you know, the capacity to do work actually is called as energy to move a matter. So capacity to do work, to move the matter. That is called as energy. This can be measured in units joules. Joules is the unit for this one. So this is the most important physical property. This can also be calculated and measured. And not only this one, when you start observing different kinds of matter, physical properties first have to be learned to understand the chemical property also. Okay? Okay, in the next small session, we will discuss about measurement and uncertainty of matter. Okay? How we will measure the property, and in that also what are the different kinds of uncertainties we have, we will come across, that we will discuss.